Well, they can't all be winners. I'm Erin.
I'm Tom.
And this is Baby's First Watch List. We watch movies, and the gimmick is that we choose if our kids should watch it. This one...
So far, everyone has made Baby's First Watch List.
Yeah.
The titular Baby's First Watch List.
This will be interesting.
Tune in to the end to see if this one makes it.
Today, we're discussing a movie whose sequel was just released this past weekend.
Yeah.
It got really bad reviews.
The Meg.
It's 2018's The Meg.
Prequel or the sequel is Meg 2 The Trench.
Mm-hmm. Like the Mariana Trench, I'm guessing.
Which is where this movie, largely, a lot of it takes place.
Yep. And it's not the Mariana Trenches or Mariana's Trench, whatever it was. There was like a pop punk band from Canada.
Mariana's Trench was the pop punk band. It's the Mariana Trench.
So what is it?
It's the deepest part of the known Earth.
What is exactly a trench?
A trench is a part of the ocean that just goes down. Like we don't know where the ocean floor is.
It's like my mood some nights.
I guess.
Okay,
so the Mariana Trench, as far as we know, is further from sea level downwards than Mount Everest is upwards.
Do we go higher than Mount Everest on a plane?
We would fly over Mount Everest, yes. What do you think? Like all the planes that go past Nepal or whatever are just flying around Mount Everest?
Hey, listen, you got to take the right route. So this sci-fi action movie was directed by John Turteltaub, who also directed National Treasure and Cool Runnings.
He can make a hit. He's shown to be capable of making a hit.
That's right.
I will say
this was a hit.
Well, right. Well, I would say that most people that I talked to about this movie since we watched it the other night
they enjoy it.
said it was pretty good. I didn't agree, but that's fine.
Me either. And me and you have very similar tastes in
well,
movies.
We'll get into it.
We both love Grease.
We'll get into it, but this one is just boring. Like my problem was that it was boring. It wasn't that it was bad. I'm good with a movie like this being bad. That's what I expect.
That's why I want.
It wasn't bad enough.
I totally agree. It wasn't absurd. It wasn't funny.
Yeah.
It wasn't silly.
I didn't think Statham was in it. Like he has to be. A lot of times, he's not exactly known for being the most evocative,
dynamic,
pathos-inducing actor.
I love him, though.
But he's great. He's the best. He's got his one-liners. He does the whole thing. I didn't really find it in this movie.
I agree. It was written by Dean Georgaris, John Hober, and Eric Hober, but none of them have Wikipedia pages. That's not necessarily an indication.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
In this case,
however, correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation.
Yeah.
But here,
right. Right. So it was adapted from the 1997 book Meg. Is it Meg or The Meg?
What?
Meg? It's just Meg?
I don't know.
A novel of deep terror.
Guess who told me about that book and liked it?
Who?
Mark.
Of course. And it had apparently been in the process of being adapted since 1997.
Mark also said he loved that we watched this for the podcast.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I love that I watched this for the podcast, too. At some point, Eli Roth was attached.
I wrote that.
Which is interesting.
I wrote that. But he wanted to star, and they were like, no. They were like, you're not big enough of a...
That's funny.
Of a name to star in the movie.
So the book, I guess, is like an actual like horror book. It's not supposed to be this B movie.
Mark said it was like horror pseudoscience type of thing.
Yeah.
Almost like it feels like a Jurassic Park type movie.
It's not like, oh, this is fun.
Right.
Interesting.
And he said that he hasn't seen the sequel, but it seems like the sequel has nothing to do with the sequels to the novel.
Oh. It is considered an adaptation of a sequel, though.
What?
Of
Meg
the book.
2?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it is, but...
I mean, who knows? Wikipedia
He said he liked the later books in the series more than the first one.
Interesting. Cinematographer Tom Stern.
Stern, like a boat.
Yeah. He's known for being Clint Eastwood's go-to guy.
And Turteltaub, the director.
I mean, it's meant to be, I guess.
Wow.
So, yeah, this guy... What, Tom Stern?
Say?
He's like Clint Eastwood's go-to cinematographer.
Like from way back in the day, or are we talking
Mystic River, we're talking.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I was thinking further back than that, but
no,
yeah.
I mean like his directed stuff. Yeah.
Gran Torino.
All of it.
Like, he directed Gran Torino, right?
Yeah. Like basically every movie that I remember Clint Eastwood doing, and even some that I forgot he did, this guy was a cinematographer.
Cool.
He was nominated for a Clint Eastwood movie for cinematography, The Changeling.
Okay. I've never seen it, but it's 2002 or something like that.
I think that was later on. It's Angelina Jolie.
But it was in the 2000s.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure it was on our 2000s list that we never got
I think
to.
you're right. He also shot The Hunger Games, so he's done
okay.
like some hits for sure. The music is by Harry Gregson Williams, who he did a lot of animated movies. Like he did the music for the Shrek series, for Ants, and for Chicken Run.
Okay.
He also did Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He did The Martian and a lot more. He like a ton of different things.
2000 Changeling was 2008.
Okay, there you go. The movie The Meg is a co-production between the United States and China.
Yeah.
So it's like seen as like a 50-50 production.
Yeah.
And that was like, I don't know if it was for a specific reason, but because of that, something to do with money and taxes or something, because it's a direct co-production.
I
don't
assume
know.
that co-productions always have to do with taxes.
It's something, yeah, I don't know. There was something that they said. I was like, okay. The Meg was a bit of a mixed bag critically with a 46% on Rotten Tomatoes. I want to read you exactly what Rotten Tomatoes the consensus is, because it's exactly how I feel. I was like, yeah, that's the problem. So it says here, The Meg sets audiences up for a good old-fashioned B-movie creature feature, but lacks the genre thrills or the cheesy bite to make it worth diving in.
Agreed.
That's pretty much exactly my thoughts. I said, dude, let's do The Meg. It's going to be fun.
Well, no. First of all, I put The Meg on our list, and you said, oh, I think The Meg would be a great idea.
Because it's going to be fun. And I would either want it to be like, whoa, that's scary. Oh my God. Or I would
whoa,
want
that
it
was
to
really
be like,
interesting.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's silly. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's crazy. And it was boring.
It had a few moments in the second half that were kind of cool, but it wasn't anything that was
when
able
the
to
shark
redeem it.
went to the beach.
When the shark was eating things, it was fun.
Yeah.
The Rainn Wilson, when he got, like,
Right.
we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Like, that's fun.
Right.
But overall, the first half was pretty much a drag.
What's also interesting is it has a 43% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Audiences seem to agree.
Yeah.
Not the best.
Except everyone that I talked to would give it 100%.
Okay, well, all right. It was a commercial success, however, making a lot of money. $530.2 million.
I wonder what the split was between the U.S. and China, because I
Yeah.
feel like overseas this feels like a movie that would have done really well.
Yeah. And it had a budget of around $130 to $178 million. It had a high marketing budget, apparently.
Oh, I read that. It was like $140 million or something.
Yeah, it's like crazy. It was nominated for one Razzie for worst prequel,
sequel,
remake,
or remake.
rip-off, or sequel.
Yeah.
And they said it was a rip-off of Jaws.
I read that it was a strong frontrunner for all of the Razzies, but the reason why, speculated, the reason why it didn't get a bunch of Razzies is because it was 1 year where it was open to the public, and the public didn't vote for it for a bunch of Razzies.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I forget. I don't know what was up for all the what was the leader that year, but yeah, I read that it was because that year the people got to vote on the Razzies.
And they said, we want the Meg.
Yeah, we don't want the Meg.
We don't want the Meg. A sequel, Meg to the Trench, was released last weekend, and lucky for us, all three screenwriters returned.
Thank the Lord.
It's got a different director, like it's some British guy.
He did
the Rebecca remake.
He did the Rebecca remake and something else that was like.
That's like I think he does video, like horror video games and stuff.
Oh, does he?
I don't.
Ben Wheatley.
Did I make that up?
You might have made that up.
It's in like the top part of his Wikipedia page.
Okay. Yeah, Ben Wheatley. He did. I don't know what I thought he did, but you can go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know any of these things.
It's doing real bad on Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't know what to tell you.
I truly don't know any of these movies, other than the Rebecca remake, which was
bad.
Yeah.
So
I didn't see it, but it got really bad reviews.
So that's not great. But you know what? We're gonna live our life, and honestly, I don't have anything else for the Meg.
Okay.
For an
at all?
intro.
Oh,
I have a couple questions. I have my New Jersey connection.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do a new thing.
Segment.
We're gonna do a new segment because we are. Many of our listeners are from New Jersey, and
not to mention Tom and I in the car today had a big discussion on how wonderful New Jersey is.
Yeah.
How we're happy to be from New Jersey.
Which we've gotten into on the podcast before.
I love New Jersey. I love New Jersey. I love New Jersey.
Can I do the plot summary for the Meg?
First of all, let me tell you this. NJ.com, don't look at their Instagram comment section, okay?
Ever.
Everyone is little, they really just need to drink some tea.
Can we do this in the New Jersey segment, or we're gonna do this up top?
We can do that in the New Jersey segment. Just hurry up with this Meg stuff.
All right. Well, it's weird because this is a movie that has a pretty complex plot, kind of,
But it doesn't come
but
across
it has
that way.
nothing,
Yeah.
really. Okay. The Meg. Jonas Taylor, played by Jason Statham, is a rescue diver who attempts to save the crew of a damaged nuclear submarine when he sees the hull being rammed by an unidentified creature. 2 of his crew are trapped in the damaged sub, but Taylor is forced to flee, realizing that attempting rescue would result in the deaths of everyone he has already saved. Taylor's account of the story is later dismissed by fellow survivor Dr. Heller, who denounces his actions as the result of pressure-induced psychosis. 5 years later, billionaire Jack Morris, played by Rainn Wilson, meets Dr. Minwei Zhang, played by Winston Chow, at the underwater research facility Mana 1. Zhang and his oceanographer daughter Su Yin, played by Li Bingbing, supervise a mission to explore what turns out to be a deeper section of the Mariana Trench, previously concealed by a thermocline of hydrogen sulfide, essentially, from what I gather, meaning that it's blocked off by some sort of barrier of elements that we couldn't previously get past. I don't know if that's real or not or what, but the mission's submersible is piloted by scientists Toshi, a scientist referred to as the Wall, and Taylor's ex-wife Lori, because of course. They discover an abundance of never-before-seen flora and fauna below the thermocline, but an attack by a large, unidentified creature causes the submersible to lose contact with Mana 1. Taylor's old friend and Mana 1 operations manager James Mac McCready's suggests sending Taylor down to attempt a rescue. Despite the objections of Heller, now a member of the Mana 1 crew, Zhang and Mac venture to Thailand to recruit Taylor, who is now a drunken loner. Taylor is initially skeptical but relents after listening to a taped recording containing the dialogue between Lori, her crew, and Mana 1. Su Yin attempts the rescue in their absence but is attacked by a giant squid. That was a cool scene.
I did like the squid. He was like, all right, I'm here.
Before the squid can crush her submersible, it is killed by an enormous shark. Having agreed to help, Taylor breaches the thermocline and reaches the sunken submersible. When the shark returns and attacks the submersible before the evacuation has been completed, Toshi sacrifices himself to help the others escape by exploding the submersible. Returning to Mana 1, the crew discovers the giant shark is a megalodon, or Meg, a prehistoric species of shark previously believed to be extinct. While discussing how to address it, Su Yin's daughter Mei Ying encounters and narrowly avoids an attack from the shark outside Mana 1's underwater tunnels. The crew realizes that the Meg pursued them through a temporary break they caused in the thermocline and resolves to go out and track the Meg before killing it with poison. After the Meg destroys 3 nearby shark fin fishing ships, that I'm surprised that it's
fishing ships.
Taylor enters the water to shoot the Meg with a tracker, and then the team puts Su Yin in a shark-proof tank so she can shoot the Meg with poison. That's basically Jaws. That's the second half of Jaws.
Literally. It is a ripoff of Jaws.
However, the mission goes awry when the shark attacks the cage and cracks Su Yin's mask, causing her to lose oxygen. She manages to poison the shark just as Taylor manages to get her out of the cage. The Meg returns and attacks Taylor and Su Yin. What happened? Oh, but it gets snagged on the cage's line and dies from the poison. In their moment of triumph, a second, larger Meg, revealed to be the one that attacked the group earlier back at the trench, emerges, devouring the Wall, which is a character name, again, and the dead Meg, critically wounding Zhang and destroying the crew's ship. Heller sacrifices himself by distracting the Meg to save fellow crew member Jax, with 2 X's, played by Ruby Rose.
Worst name.
Max swims out to a floating lifeboat so that he and the crew can regroup at Mana 1, though Zhang dies on the way. The shark gives chase, but it is deterred by a helicopter Morris called in. Back at the station, Morris claims that he has informed all the Chinese government about the Meg and that they have sent 2 destroyers to torpedo the shark, but he secretly enlists a mercenary team to kill the shark with depth charges. They accidentally kill a whale instead. Realizing the Meg is near, the team speeds away, but Morris falls overboard and is eaten. Rip to Rainn Wilson.
Yeah.
The team soon learns of Morris's deceit and resolve to kill the Meg themselves. The Meg attacks a crowded beach in Sanya Bay in China and devours several beachgoers before the Mana 1 crew uses a whale call to divert its attention toward them. Taylor and Su Yin board submersibles and work together to kill the Meg, but Suyin is forced to break off to save the others when a helicopter crashing into their ship forces them into the water. Taylor takes on the Meg alone, and despite his submarine taking damage, he wounds the beast with his damaged submersible and stabs it in the eye, spilling its blood and attracting a swarm of sharks that devour the dying Meg. Taylor reunites with the rest of the Mono 1 crew on a passing wedding boat and considers taking a vacation with Suyin and Mei Ying. Meanwhile, in the water, a passing Meg is heard, suggesting that more than 2 escaped the trench. The Meg.
There it is.
What a film.
Boring.
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
Like, that plot summary sounds more interesting than the movie was.
Which is very rare. Usually I'm like, oh, I missed this. I couldn't get all the jokes together. But this one, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the story.
Yeah. So here's my first thing. At the beginning of the movie, Jason Statham is trying to help a guy, and he says, "You okay, pal?" Right?
Sure.
It just kind of makes me sad because I don't think women get called pal or buddy.
Or boss.
Why not?
Well, they get sweetheart, toots, things like that.
Do you want me to tell you a secret?
Sure.
I kind of don't hate it when people call me like honey or sweetheart.
It depends. I mean, I'm not one to talk, but I feel like it would depend on who it is and what their intention is.
My big thing is if a waitress,
if it's an
calls
old
me
waitress,
that,
yeah.
I'm in. I'm
No,
like, yes,
that's fair. Like how I want to walk into
Okay.
a what?
But if like one of the guys from Pep Boys does it, I think it's kind of sweet.
It's a little creepy.
No, not to like, okay, honey, blah blah blah. I don't
Yeah.
mind it. I just don't. Sorry.
Well, that's like how if I walk into an old sandwich shop and I get a tuna sub.
Ew.
I right, exactly. I want the guy putting it together to call me boss.
Boss?
All right, boss.
Do you get called boss?
I have been called boss mostly by gas station attendants. Which is a New Jersey thing.
That is a New Jersey thing.
Gas station attendants at the pump.
Okay.
Yeah. I think boss is funny.
What do you
I'm
get
not
called?
a boss.
You're the boss of April.
What about like Mac? Hey there, Mac.
I like Mac. I kind of wanted our next kid to have a nickname Mac
Maybe.
because it's cute.
We don't it's not an announcement.
No. No. But like, I don't think I've ever been called Buddy.
Yes, you have.
Oh. Okay, you guys want to know like a secret?
No.
Oh my!
That is specifically one that you have been called, and we did
And I
talk
was
about.
traumatized.
And we talk about it all the time.
Okay, somebody listen. There was a situation. I was like 7 months pregnant. I'm waddling to my car at 6:30 in the morning to go to work, and there's a certain somebody that we know, kind of, not really. I don't really know this person, and he pulls out of his driveway and he backs up slowly to my driveway, and he just goes, "Hey, buddy." I just ignored.
Previously spoken zero words to this
never
person.
spoke to him in my life. I literally looked at him dead in the eyes and just turned back and opened my car, and then he just drove away.
Absolute nightmare.
So we just call him buddy now.
Yeah.
Not to his face because we don't talk. I don't know this man.
Maybe he listens to the podcast.
Hey, buddy. So you're right. I've been called buddy approximately 3 times.
I just think it's funny that that's the one you specifically chose.
Okay, that was tragic. Okay, so here's a question that I probably should have given you beforehand. What are some
Surprise.
What are some other movies where the characters speak to each other in ways that no human has ever spoken to another human?
I've talked about this before on the podcast. High School Musical.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
If you listen to the podcast, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I have one for you. Ready?
Sure.
Closer.
Closer is an unbelievable example of that. I don't even know how to describe the dialogue in Closer. Like, the movie was so bad, but that's one that I still think about because of how bad it was. Like, in a good way.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I would love to rewatch Closer, you know?
Yeah. Was it one of Mike Nichols' last movies?
Was it Mike Nichols?
It
Yeah.
was Mike Nichols.
Yeah, it was a pretty big director.
And it's got like Jude Law,
Clive Owen,
Julia Roberts, and Natalie Portman, right?
Yeah. For a guy who's not really in that much anymore, I love Clive Owen. Every time he's in something, I'm like, he's
very
great.
good. Jude Law is also a very good actor.
Yeah.
So Yeah,
It was Mike Nichols.
Closer, like, it's so the things that they say to each other.
Most of them cannot be repeated on this podcast.
Oh yeah, we can't really tell you what they are because they're all inappropriate. But
if you've heard some Fall Out Boy songs,
Fall Out Boy. Okay, in 2008, Fall Out Boy used like a ton of Closer lines, the lines from the movie, in their songs. So like, Thanks for the Memories does it, and then one of their song titles has one.
Yeah.
So if you're ever interested in lyrics or Fall Out Boy lyrics that are related to movies, that's what that. If you ever like had a Fall Out Boy song, and you're like, what does that mean? There's a non-zero chance it's from the movie Closer.
Non-zero. 2004's Closer.
Yeah, which is completely not an appropriate movie for children.
Did you know that it was? First of all, it was based on a play, and second of all, it was
it's based on a play, when
right?
you watch
But it was seen by some as a modern and tragic version of Mozart's 1790 opera Così fan tutti, with references to the opera and the plot and the soundtrack.
Closer is one of those movies where it's like a lot of people think it's like super deep and like it has all these referential things and whatever, and I just didn't get that. I'm just like, this movie's dumb.
Clive Owen played the Jude Law role in the play.
Oh, interesting. But again, it's Mike Nichols, so I'm like, I'm really entertained.
Mike Nichols is good. I mean,
I like Mike Nichols.
Like I said, I would absolutely rewatch Closer because of how absurd it was.
When we were watching it, I was just like, what?
We were like, what is happening?
What is this movie?
Yeah.
So that's my choice on people never speaking to each other like
No,
that.
I think those are two good ones.
Yeah.
That one and
High School Musical.
High School Musical.
So, okay. You need to make this movie better, but you can only change one aspect or thing in this movie to make it better. You can what do you think you would change?
Give the shark googly eyes.
Giving the shark googly eyes, you think would be the highest chance of making it like the most better it could be?
Well, what do you mean by one thing? Like, can I change the script?
You can change something about the
right,
script.
not like this is an amazing script now.
Right.
But I would add one-liners. I would add
No, they think there's one-liners.
There's the one-liner that Statham has where he's like, "Come get some of this," and then like the gun doesn't go off or something.
You would do like more of that kind of stuff, like the
I
Arnold
like that stuff.
Schwarzenegger, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the one where
like Batman villains.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's kick some ice, things like that, like in Mr. Freeze.
What made the dinosaurs go extinct?
The Ice Age.
The Ice Age.
And then he like shoots off his like,
hey, everybody, chill.
But there's also other ones that Arnold has in other movies where there's the one, I forget what movie it is, but he's like holding a guy upside down from like a building, and the guy's like, "I thought you said you were gonna kill me last." And he goes, I lied, and he just lets him go. I forget what movie that is. But yeah, stuff like that. That's the stuff I like.
I agree with you on that.
I also would have made it a little bit less sciencey, because it's not that this movie was super sciencey, because I mean, come on.
I don't mind the science. It's just done poorly.
It's done poorly because there's not enough fun to balance it out. You know, I didn't find the banter funny. I didn't find any of that good.
The banter was so stilted and not
wooden.
Yeah,
but again, I understand that this is what you were supposed to expect from a movie like this, but it was so wooden that it was just blah.
It wasn't fun.
It was just like if like you said, it's like if ChatGPT wrote.
Yeah, I said
like a movie.
It's literally like AI wrote this.
Yeah.
Like you ask Smarter Child on AIM for a movie, and he'd be like, "Oh, I wrote this." Like I don't like these weren't people.
For what it's worth, I did ask ChatGPT to write me a sequel to this movie.
It actually sounds pretty good.
It sounded pretty good. It was like they go down further, and there's this whole civilization of humans that worshipped the Meg, and of course it's Statham. It's the whole crew from this movie. They go back down, and all of a sudden there's this billionaire who's trying to take the relics from the ancient civilization to like sell them or their magic or something like that. And the Meg protects them.
Yeah.
The new Meg. There's other Megs down there, and they protect Statham and crew against the evil billionaire. And it sounds pretty good.
Probably would have been better than Meg 2 the Trench.
I don't know what Meg 2 is about. Maybe it just took the plot of Meg 2.
Oh my god, wait, imagine.
Maybe it wrote Meg 2. Maybe that's why these people don't have Wikipedia pages, because it's just an AI written movie.
Are these guys just AI?
Bad for the WGA if that's the case.
We need to talk about it. That's part of what they're saying. They don't want AI.
Yeah.
The problem is, did AI just make a better movie than Meg 2 the Trench? That's the problem.
It's possible.
No way.
It doesn't look like that is the case.
Also, AI could never replace actual screenwriters.
Of course not.
There's no way.
Of course not.
We need them, even if they make the Meg.
Yeah, despite.
We still love you. Okay. I don't know what I would change to make it better. What
Well,
I
I
think,
have-
do you know what I would do? I would make it brighter.
It was sort of well, it was deceiving because
The first half is not bright.
the poster, like the yellow in the poster on
That's
the
what I
logo
expected.
pops,
Yes.
and there's not that much of it.
The last
beach
part.
part,
And the beach.
yeah,
Yeah.
with the big hamster wheel thing.
Fun. The dog, Pippin, the dog.
Yeah.
So cute. The first half, I'm like, this is blah, boring.
Well, that's where the
It's sterile.
sterile sciencey part of it comes in.
I don't need that. It's the Meg. Can at least somebody wear neon uniforms?
Right. Like the scuba suits, make them neon.
Make them neon.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite part or a favorite character? I'm putting them together because hopefully you'll find something.
Well, okay. My favorite character is Statham because it's Statham.
Yeah, he's
You know,
great.
he's just good. He's just
Yeah,
he has
he's
he has an aura about him.
Yeah, he's a star.
Yeah, he's an absolute star. But it's not when I think of Jason Statham, I'm not going to think of the Meg.
Right.
You know. And I haven't even seen The Transporter. I haven't even seen Crank. Like those are a couple of his bigger movies.
Yeah.
But I think of Fast and Furious when I think of Statham.
Spy.
Spy, right.
He was really good in Spy.
I'm not going to think of the Meg when I think of him. But he's the best in the movie because almost by default.
Yeah.
It's not that everybody else was horrible.
No,
They just were nothing.
they were nothing.
They were nothing. I'm not going to remember any of them.
Except for Pippin. Pippin was my favorite.
The dog, yeah.
Pippin's the dog that got accidentally thrown onto the ocean.
Yeah.
And
You think he got eaten.
yeah, and he didn't.
He
and
didn't.
But the best is Pippin's like swimming along, doggy paddling, and then he sees the Meg and he goes,
Uh-oh. And he turns the other way.
so cute.
So, in terms of a favorite part, I liked the part when the shark attacked the beach. And I liked
Yeah,
the
it was
part
fun.
with the giant squid.
Yeah.
Because it was a little bit of a switch and you were like, "Oh, this is a shark," but no, it's a squid.
I agree. I thought that was really good, but my problem was when that happened, I was already in my head like, this is not what I thought it was gonna be. Like this movie is not as fun as I thought.
I think that the action and the general plot is fine. I just didn't think the characters were good.
No, they were bad. Do you have a favorite underwater movie?
Underwater movie.
I'll tell you mine
Go for
first
it.
if you want. I like Finding Nemo.
Oh, okay.
That takes place underwater.
It does take place underwater.
And I really like it because I'll tell you why. Number one, Finding Nemo, I don't really like movies that take place around like water that much.
Sure.
I mean, it's fine, but like sometimes I'm like, all right, I need a little bit of an island. And Finding Nemo does give us that. We do have the dentist office in Sydney.
Yeah.
So I like that little shift. But it's still underwater because it's in a fish tank, which is fun. It's also very colorful. It's got really good jokes. And despite me knowing for many, many years the truth about Ellen DeGeneres,
Yes, it's true. You were one of the
I was
first
that was the hill I'll die on. That she was actually not very nice. She's so good in Finding Nemo. Like,
She was Dory.
yeah, really good.
I watched Finding Nemo once or twice and it didn't really hit me like that. I've never been a Nemo head.
I saw it at Regal, our local Regal, and they oversold it, so my sister had to sit in the aisle. Do you have a favorite underwater movie?
So like The Little Mermaid
Oh yeah, that's good.
is one that counts.
You've never seen The Little Mermaid?
I've seen it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
We haven't seen the new one yet.
Right. So all the ones I'm looking at on this list are like not really. It's like Titanic. That's not really underwater. Life of Pi is not really underwater. You know what? I'm gonna say
On
it.
the water.
I'm gonna say it. I liked Aquaman, the Jason Momoa Aquaman.
Didn't watch. I don't watch those movies really.
It was long like all the DC movies are, and it was dark like all the DC movies are. But it was Jason Momoa is another guy who's just a star.
Yeah.
And I also thought that Patrick Wilson was great in it.
I love Patrick Wilson.
So
He's a New Jersey king.
he is a New Jersey king. But I have never really thought of like underwater movies.
Yeah.
But I would say that Little Mermaid and Aquaman.
Very nice. I don't have any other questions. I just have my NJ connection.
Okay.
Do you want me to do my
No,
New
we'll keep it.
Jersey connection? Get connected for free.
We'll do the questions first while
Okay.
we're on questions. Okay. So this movie at the Razzies was considered a ripoff of Jaws.
Yeah.
Does this movie do anything better than Jaws?
I really thought about this question.
So did I.
I don't think so.
Made more money than Jaws.
That doesn't count.
When not adjusted for inflation.
That doesn't count.
It made more money. The sharks were bigger.
Is there anything that the movie does better than Jaws? No, is the correct answer.
Probably not.
No.
Probably
it's just a no.
Probably not.
Sorry. The jokes didn't even hit as much.
No. There's really not a single thing it does better than Jaws. Which is not necessarily a bad, like Jaws is an amazing movie as we just talked about a couple weeks ago. It's not like there's a high bar here, but it doesn't.
Nothing.
I would have been interested to have watched this movie on a theater screen. I wonder if I would have liked it more.
Maybe.
Okay. I'm not sure how many you've seen, but do you have a favorite kaiju movie? So basically, if you're not a freaking nerd like me, that's a movie that basically has a giant monster.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the movie. Like a Godzilla is what is the prototype of a kaiju movie, or King Kong. Do you have? And I would consider the Meg one of those types of movies. That's like a big threat. That's a giant thing. That's way bigger than humans, and you got to deal with it. Do you have any like favorites of those?
Does the Stay Puffed guy from
Maybe
Ghostbusters 2 count?
Yeah, I'm gonna say
I have
yes.
never actually seen Ghostbusters 2, but I thought of him first.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think I've really seen. I like Reptar.
Didn't you watch one of Reptar's great? Didn't you watch one of them on a plane?
I did fall asleep during that.
Oh, that was Godzilla versus Kong, right?
Yeah, I liked it,
Yeah.
but I did fall asleep.
Yeah.
So
Cloverfield is another one.
Oh, I do like Cloverfield. But you don't
Pacific
really
Rim.
know who that is.
It's kind of assumed that it's
what
a
about
big
the
monster.
Thing?
The Thing, I would say no, because in Cloverfield it's assumed that it's a giant,
Yes.
that it's massive.
That is true. Yeah.
In The Thing, it's not, because it's taking the form of humans.
What about 10 Cloverfield Lane?
Yeah, I guess.
That was really good.
Sure.
That movie was really good, actually.
Sure. I don't know if I would count that either, though, only because it's more about, like, John Goodman's the villain. It's not really about the monster.
Okay. What's yours?
Again, freaking nerd. It's the original Godzilla. It's a stand-in for nuclear weapons. It's such a great it's just a great concept, and I love the fact that and it's Godzilla. Also, there was a 2016 Godzilla, I think it was 2016, and he's got like googly eyes.
That's fun.
And it's really great, and it's not the same type of idea, and it's supposed to be more about like war or something like that. But I like when there's a point behind it. And
sure.
And I like when it's stupid also. There's a bunch of Godzillas. I haven't seen that many Godzillas, but there's a bunch in like the 80s and that were just nonsense, where he was fighting like Mothra and like all those types of monsters. Godzilla is your Tony Soprano of kaiju, the genre. And I'm not even super well versed in it, but Rampage is another one that I didn't see, but that's another one that I wrote down.
The Rock, right?
Yeah. It's based on a video game where you're one of 3 big monsters and you destroy towns and you get points.
Okay.
I haven't seen the original King Kong, though I would like to.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's in the pantheon of film,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's Godzilla, which is like 1958 or something, and the 2016 Shin Godzilla.
Yeah. Those are good choices. Did I ever say on the podcast my funny Blockbuster story?
Probably, but I don't remember.
Okay, so back in the day, Blockbuster was closing down, our local Blockbuster. And I went with my cousins and my sister, and we were like, okay, we're going to buy the movies because they were selling them. And we waited till like the last day because they sold them for like $1 each, right? So we're like, okay, cool. We're going to buy so many movies. And we did. We bought so many movies. They had the Blockbuster thing. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And because they were only $1 each, we were like, well, let's like explore and maybe pick some things that we wouldn't normally get. Like my one cousin got Bruno. I was like, we don't need to get Bruno. But I was like, okay, I want to do one of those fun B movies, whatever. So I'm like, all right, our choices are, and it was like shark versus octopus.
Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus.
I think that was
I've
it.
seen that
Mega
one.
Shark versus Giant
I've
Octopus.
seen that one.
And then the other one was Eagle versus Shark.
Oh, and you picked eagle versus
And
shark.
I was like, well, how cool is that? It's aerial versus underwater. Like, that's going to be so much more interesting, whatever. And mind you, it's the Blockbuster logo.
There, you
on the
don't see
front.
the poster.
You do not see the poster, and it just says eagle versus shark. And I'm like, okay. And back then, I did not know when it said directed by Taika Waititi.
Yes.
I was like, I don't know that person.
You probably didn't even pay any attention
Yeah.
to it.
So I get home and we're like, let's start with eagle versus shark. We put it in, and it's a New Zealand indie
Like a rom-com, right?
rom-com. It's just like an early Taika Waititi movie with
Yeah,
Jermaine
2007.
Clement. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
So that's my experience with these types of movies.
Apparently there's some stop motion in it.
Yeah.
Like, what
it
a
was
weird-
not what I expected.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
All right. I want you to give me your Mount Rushmore of Megs. This is any type of Megan, any type of thing like that. I want you to give me your top
What
4.
do you mean Megan?
What do you mean?
What do you mean a Megan?
It could be any Megan, Meg.
Oh, like the name, like their names.
Mount
are-
Rushmore of Megs.
Oh shoot, this is tough.
I got a lot.
Okay, number 1, Megan.
I actually didn't even narrow it down to a top 4.
Number
so.
1 is obviously Megan.
Megan from Megan.
Megan.
Yeah.
That's an obvious.
This question started because I was gonna ask something to do with like who would win, the Meg or Megan.
Yeah.
But I thought that this would open it up to more Megans.
Number 1
more
is
Megs.
Megan. Obviously, she's like the big person on Mount Rushmore.
George Washington.
Yeah, is he the biggest?
He's the one that's the closest.
Is he like? Are they ranked? They're not ranked.
No. It's just the way that I think the rock surface was
Number
built.
one.
Yeah, I think it's just the way that they built into the rock, into the mountain.
Okay. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2 is gonna be Meg Whitman
I don't even think I have Meg Whitman here.
because she was in Independence Day,
Yeah, I know.
and so that was fun for me. She was like the little girl in Independence Day. I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool.
Or wait, is that Meg Whitman or May Whitman?
Oh, it's May.
It's May Whitman.
She's not even a Meg.
No, well, she's an honorary Meg.
Okay, scratch her. Number 2, Megan Fox.
I wrote specifically Megan Fox and Jennifer's
Body.
Yes.
When you have Jennifer's body, that's all you need. Megan Fox. That's my number 2.
Right.
Okay, number 3. The only other Meg I can think of is Meg from Family Guy, and I never watched
specifically did not put her on this list.
that. I've never watched that.
You want to know some of the ones that I have? I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm going to even give you a top 4.
Yeah.
Megan, which we
Yeah.
talked about. Meg
Obviously.
Ryan.
Oh, Meg Ryan. Yeah, Meg Ryan.
Meghan Markle.
Oh, yeah, Meghan Markle.
Megan Rapinoe. It's U.S.
yeah.
Women's National Team season.
Yeah.
Did they may not be. They might be out by the time this comes out. I don't know if they lose to Sweden or whatever.
Definitely not. Ooh.
Megan Fox and Jennifer's Body. Meg from Hercules.
Oh, yeah.
Meg from Little Women.
Oh, yeah.
Megan the Stallion.
Oh.
Megan from Drake and Josh, because we were just talking about Josh.
Megan.
Megan Good
Okay.
and Megan Mullally.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of
These
good
are
Megans.
really good Megans.
A lot of good Megans. All right, I'll give you my top 4. It's Megan. It's Megan Fox and Jennifer's Body. It's Meg Ryan, and it's Megan the Stallion. That's
yeah,
my
those are good. Those are good.
That's my Mount Rushmore.
Are you a hottie?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Good
No
stuff.
doubt.
Meg Ryan, definitely. You could do like a whole Mount Rushmore of Meg Ryans.
Sure. All just the different ones.
It's just all the Meg Ryans.
You got what? Sleepless in Seattle.
Yep.
When Harry Met Sally.
Yep.
You've Got Mail.
Yep.
And Top Gun.
We're done.
That's it.
It's perfect.
She's unhinged in Top Gun.
She really is.
All right, so we already kind of talked about this off air, but I sent you an article that Rainn Wilson had in a few weeks ago. I saw it on Deadline. Rainn Wilson, it was Dwight from The Office. So he was doing an interview with Bill Maher for some reason. He said that when he was doing The Office, he was really uncomfortable and unhappy because it wasn't fulfilling enough. And he basically was saying, I'm on this great show and I'm not really enjoying it anymore. Why haven't I been able to make the next step into movies like a Jack Black? He said, why am I not the next Jack Black or the next Will Ferrell? How come I can't have a movie career? How come I don't have this developmental deal? He said, I was making hundreds of thousands. I wanted millions and I was a TV star, but I wanted to be a movie star and it was never enough. So he's basically, I think he's trying to say like he had such a perfectionist attitude that he he couldn't find a way to be happy, even though he was on this mega successful show, because there's always something more. There's always someone doing something better than you or more than you or whatever. And I find that actually pretty relatable.
Sure.
But my question is, why do you think that Rainn Wilson could have been a movie star? And number two, why or why not?
Yeah, sure. I think he could have been.
Like a movie star to the level of a Jack Black. Do you think that he has that type of...
Here's the thing. I think that... No, I don't think so. But the reason why, and I said this to you off mic.
Yeah. As in when we talk during the normal course of the day.
Actual lives. I think that one of the things when you have a Will Ferrell, a Jack Black,
we said Adam Sandler.
I said an Adam
even
Sandler,
like a Chris Farley.
even like a David Spade, who I know is not a movie star, but made the transition into movies.
Yeah.
Shout out Grown Ups too.
Shout out Dickie Roberts, Child Star, or whatever the movie is.
I think that what I noticed about all of those people, Jack Black doesn't really count in that because he didn't, I don't think, start off in TV.
I'm not sure.
But for everybody, they're transitioning from TV to movies. One of the first movies that each one of those people did that was very popular was not just really funny and well received, but it also had a heart underneath it. So they're really likable, and you feel like, oh, like that was so nice. Like they're great. So like with Jack Black, School of Rock, one of our favorite movies.
Jack Black did start on TV, but it wasn't like he didn't have a big TV show. He was just in episodes of shows here and there.
Right. So like for him, it's like, oh, he's this likable guy who's really funny and silly. It was a successful movie, and the undercurrent is so much heart and like whatever. Adam Sandler, Billy Madison, you end up feeling real good for him. You know, it's sweet, even though it's crazy.
Idiotic.
Right. Will Ferrell.
Problematic.
Will Ferrell, I think that if he had just done things like Old School, he wouldn't have been this big movie star. I think something like Elf, where it's funny and wacky, but then again, underneath it, you love him.
I mean, even Anchorman has a little bit of that to it, where he's not necessarily a super likable character, but you can feel his anxieties.
Yeah.
And how the world is changing and all that, and he just can't come to grips with it. I think it's like a human feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just a maniac.
Right. So even like a David Spade with Tommy Boy. So you can still get that character that we all know David Spade for, right?
Right.
But he's likable.
Yeah.
And of course he's playing off of Chris Farley, who is a very likable guy in his movies. I don't think Rainn Wilson had that. And Dwight Schrute very much is that type of character where he has those eccentricities and stuff like that, and he's annoying and whatever, but you really like him, and he's loyal and sweet and in his own way, right?
Him and Angela are like a good match for each other.
Exactly. So I think that when he was transitioning into some movie roles, The Rocker? That didn't do very well.
What was The Rocker?
It was a movie where he was a rocker.
Okay.
I think he tried to have a band with like teenagers or something.
So he was in Galaxy Quest. He was in Almost Famous. The first movie I remember him being in was House of a Thousand Corpses. And like he's choosing not that Almost Famous and Galaxy Quest are like super weird because they had good casts, but he picked weird movies. Like, he picked the wrong movies.
Well, those movies were also before The Office.
That is true. That is true.
When he's picking vehicles for him.
When did The Office start?
2005-ish, 2004, something like that.
Yeah. So he's got Juno in 2007.
Where he had a tiny role.
Yeah. He did The Rocker. He did Monsters vs. Aliens, which was animated. He was a cameo in one of the Transformers movies. Like and all these movies I've never heard of. All these other ones.
Right.
But the question is, why is that? Is that because he's choosing weird roles, or is that
what he was offered?
Just what he was offered.
I don't know.
And I think, too, another part of what those other people had was a production company or some sort of backing behind them. Like Spade, Farley, Sandler, all these people had Lorne Michaels helping them start up. Unless he was going to get like a Greg Daniels, who was the creator of The Office, or someone like that to like give him a vehicle. A lot of times it's hard to do that. Lorne is famous for doing that. Like all his people get him. Like Pop Star, like Lorne Michaels. Some of the Pete Davidson stuff was. He still does it.
Yep.
So that's part of his brand. That's part of the SNL brand.
Mm-hmm.
Because then when he helps Pete Davidson get way more famous than he was on SNL, like during his SNL run, people, when he comes back and he does his thing, people are going to watch because he's on it. So he sort of has that reinforcement, whereas someone like Rainn Wilson never really had that. And people like Steve Carell linked up with like a Judd Apatow or with Adam McKay, and were able to do that, whereas Rainn Wilson never seemed to find that fit. And possibly it's because he was so unhappy, and who knows what he was acting like. And
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I do understand his frustrations because
Absolutely.
when you think about it, like
He's an iconic television character.
he's an iconic television character, and also a lot of his co-stars were getting to that next level. So, like you said, Steve Carell, huge star.
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski, huge star.
Even BJ Novak, who's
BJ
not like...
BJ Novak, who writes his own stuff.
Yeah, Mindy Kaling.
Those are the four I was...
Yeah.
Yes. Mindy Kaling became a huge star.
Creed Bratton. No, I'm just kidding.
So it's difficult when you have all of these people that...
Craig Robinson.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That are around you and are doing other things that are kind of that next step up. And you're like, wait a second. I'm the one that has all the catchphrases. I'm the one on the T-shirts. I'm the one who people dress up as for Halloween.
Yeah.
Why am I not getting that? I understand that frustration. I just don't think that being in the Meg is going to help with that.
From the movie roles I've seen from him, he doesn't seem to have it in terms of that type of like next level star. He found his thing that he's great at, and he's great as Dwight. He's amazing. He's awesome. But I don't know if he hasn't shown anything that I've seen, maybe in some of these movies that I haven't heard of, that really gives me anything more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I want to see a great Rainn Wilson role, I'm just going to watch season 2 of The Office, you know?
Right. Because even in a movie we really like Juno, he's in one
I
scene
didn't
in the
remember.
beginning.
I didn't even remember him in
He
Juno.
is the guy at the convenience store who,
remember.
when she goes to, she buys like a whole big
Oh,
jug
yes.
of thing and,
Yes.
and the test. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I think that I get it. I get why
He says, that's one doodle that can't be undid, home skillet.
Yep. Such is life. Okay. What is your favorite Jason Statham movie that you've seen? And if you haven't seen that many like me,
I haven't.
Are there any more that you would specifically want to watch?
Yes. My favorite is Spy because number one, it's a fun movie. Number two, he's hilarious.
Oh,
in
I
it.
have a different one. Sorry. I just remembered another movie that I saw him in.
He's so funny in Spy. And
Spy is him and Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, and and Rose
we watched
Byrne's
it in
in it.
Seattle.
And him and Melissa McCarthy play off of each other really well. I think it's a very fun movie, and I like him in it. He's very likable. What do I want to see? I am actually very interested in watching Crank.
Crank? What about High Voltage? Crank High Voltage?
Yeah,
Crank
sure.
2. Yeah, I really want to watch Crank. That's definitely the one where I'm like...
We'll watch it for the podcast.
That's going to be... Absolutely. There's the Mechanic. There's the Transporter. All these I want to watch.
Does he transport to like other times? Like,
No,
does he become like from the
No, I think he
like the Declaration of Independence and stuff? Like he transports through time?
I think he transports packages like it's a crime movie. And he
He's
doesn't
like
know
a FedEx driver?
No, I mean illegally, black market. Like he's like he is the person who like he's like I can't open the package. I just have this package. I'm taking it where it needs to go and I get paid to do it.
Ooh.
And he gets caught up in something, I think.
Okay. I mean, what if he also went to the Boston Tea Party?
I mean, maybe. My one that I just thought of right now is Snatch that I loved.
Oh, yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Snatch. I haven't watched that much Guy Ritchie stuff, but I feel like that's the quintessential Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
It's about like all these...
Honestly, if you've seen Snatch, that's like his like it's frenetic and
It is.
That's a Guy Ritchie thing.
Yeah. It's got Jason Statham. He's listed actually first.
The Pit of
as the
Brad,
star.
isn't it?
Brad Pitt, Benicio del Toro, Dennis Farina. It's all about like this diamond heist, and like all of these idiots are all like circling the diamond, and everyone's has it at some point and loses it, and there's all these like
One of the characters you like can't understand a word he
that's
says.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's a boxer
And
or
he's like,
something,
"Oh,
and he has like the most unlistenable accent ever.
pretty funny.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch that movie. Oh yeah, Brad Pitt played One Punch Mickey O'Neill. He's just an Irish guy who just knocks people out in one punch.
Love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably my favorite one that I've seen, and I agree. I would want to watch Crank, The Transporter, The Mechanic. Like those types of movies are all.
I would also be
my
interested if
alley.
he did like a pacifier type of thing.
Didn't he?
Did he?
He might have. He didn't do.
Tooth Fairy.
Tooth Fairy was The Rock.
Yeah, and
Pacifier was
pacifier is
Vin.
Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he did. I'm not sure.
If he did like Little Miss Muffet.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Stuber.
Oh no.
What is the most unrealistic part of this movie, and why is it the way that the kid talks?
That kid is so unnecessary.
I have a spot in my Google Doc for best scene or quote, because we've done it a couple times, and every now and then I write something there. And this one I wrote, it was a conversation between Jonas and Mei Ying, the daughter, the woman's daughter, and I don't remember the context, but he goes, "You know a lot," and she goes, "8-year-olds hear everything."
What?
No 8-year-old has ever spoken that sentence in the history of Earth.
Yeah.
It's so clearly written by like a 50-year-old
Yeah.
who is like, "Oh, kids are smart," you know?
Yeah.
It's
This is
just
bad.
and that's just one example. I mean, every line out of the kid's mouth is like no child has ever said this before.
so bad.
Yeah. Did you think the sharks looked good?
I thought the squid looked good too.
Comparing, because I'm thinking comparing it to Jaws, because we thought that the mechanical shark in Jaws actually looked pretty
amazing.
good.
I did like that the Meg kind of it was like an homage to Jaws where you didn't see.
There were a lot of
shark at
homages
first.
to Jaws.
I thought that was fun.
What was the dog's name?
Pippin.
Pippin. The dog in Jaws is named Pippet,
Ah.
so it's a reference to Jaws
That's
or
fun.
something like that.
So yeah, that's cool. And I thought that the sharks did look good.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, I'm not huge on CGI. I would prefer practical effects, but with something like this, where you're not going to get a megalodon to be in the movie, it just
Right.
doesn't really happen. So I thought that it looked pretty good. I thought that's something it did better than Jaws had CGI.
Jaws didn't have CGI.
Okay. This movie is rated PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would have been more interesting or possibly even good if it was rated R or if it was rated PG?
I think so. I think that you can pick a lane a little bit more.
The
and
whole
you
movie
can-
just feels like a compromise. In every way, the
That's
movie feels
exactly
like a compromise.
it. Yeah, with the PG-13 rating, it felt like
Maybe it has to do with it being a U.S. and China co-production. Maybe there was more to that where they couldn't go crazy or they,
maybe. I do think like they wanted to go further but felt like they couldn't. They wanted a couple of bad words that they couldn't put in there.
Yeah.
They wanted maybe a little more action
blood,
stuff
like
that
stuff
they
like that.
couldn't include. Some maybe jokes that would be not appropriate for a PG-13 audience that they couldn't go to. Like I think that you could do that. I also think that if you went the PG route, you could have a lot of fun with it.
And have it be absurd.
Exactly. Have it be more silly.
Yeah.
Have it be more of an homage
More
to
slapstick.
Yeah, and have it be more of an homage to those older movies like a Godzilla or a King Kong.
Right.
So I think this is the problem that a lot of rated PG-13 action movies and sci-fi movies run into.
Horror movies.
And horror movies is it can't quite go where it wants to go. That's part of I think a compromising an artistic vision.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
listen, the Meg it's art. Whether you like
and
it
it
or
did
not,
well.
It's art.
And it did well. It did. The studios put out movies to make money,
Right.
and it did do that.
Yes. But I'm wondering, was a lot compromised to fit into the studio's vision of what, like, we need a PG-13 movie coming out on this date that's going to make us money for the summer or whatever.
Well, the story with Eli Roth was apparently that he wanted it to be rated R, and they said no.
Right.
So he left.
Exactly. So, and I think that that's a struggle that a lot of people have where it's like, okay.
I could see Eli Roth being like, and he's like a director that has gone very far into the R rating. So I can picture him being like, why am I going to do a shark movie that's going to be rated PG-13? I can't do anything with it.
Right. And that's not to say that PG-13 movies are always going to be compromises, right? We see with
No.
Barbie. Barbie is meant to be a PG-13 movie.
Right.
It
pushes by being a PG-13 movie.
yeah.
Like, because in theory, you would think, oh, it's G or PG.
Right.
at
And it
most.
honestly is close to a PG
Sure.
movie. But
But I'm saying it pushes with some of the language and some of the ideas in the movie.
my
which is
guess is that the Mission Impossible one that just made a lot of money is PG-13.
PG, my guess.
But that you can kind of work with because spy movies can go a little more, tame. But I do hope that with Oppenheimer doing so well, that maybe people think, there might be a little bit more wiggle room and Joker did really well a couple years ago. Deadpool, right? That maybe we can push the envelope that way, or we can make PG movies like, a ton of anime, Donkey Kong and all that. Donkey Kong? Oh no,
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Donkey
Kong.
Is he in it?
I don't. Maybe. Probably.
Or is it the same?
Yeah.
Okay. Like you have
I didn't
those
see the movie,
types
but
of movies that are making a ton of like animated movies that are making a ton of money and doing really well. So hopefully we pick lanes a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. I think that PG-13 unfortunately was a poor compromise.
Yeah.
I would like to see our version of this movie because I feel like that would get into more of the sci-fi sort of.
It would get into more of everything, which would be more fun.
Okay, that's all my questions. I also did my best quote. Do you want to do our new Jersey segment?
Yeah. Okay, ready?
Go for it. I don't know this. I haven't been. This hasn't been screened.
This was rough. Trying to find it.
Trying to find one.
Meanwhile.
Yeah. So every week we're gonna try to find at least one connection to New Jersey.
So we're gonna get connected for free. The New Jersey Connection.
That's it.
So, as I was saying, New Jersey, the best state, ranked number 3 best state to live in. It has it all, including lots of connections to any piece of Hollywood that you can think of. Every movie is connected to the great state of, yes, New Jersey.
Are you going to say that every episode, the whole monologue?
Probably do a whole thing with it. Do you have a favorite movie star?
Danny DeVito.
There's a chance that they're from New Jersey. Okay, we picked the wrong movie to start with this. Because I was like, what? I clicked on like everybody's names. I'm so confused. Did you know that Ruby Rose is Australian?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I knew that from John Wick.
Did you know Jason Statham is not Australian?
What is he?
He's
British. He's British, yeah.
And I thought Meg was like an Australian thing.
The Meg.
I thought this was about Australian surfers.
I thought so. I thought it was going to be more about surfing.
So I was like really struggling for this NJ connection, but I found it. Director John Turteltaub.
Yes.
His father, Saul Turteltaub, who is like a famous writer for like the Carol Burnett Show, whatever. Yeah. He was born in Teaneck, New Jersey.
I love it.
If there's no Jersey, there's no John Turteltaub. So he's the reason we have the Meg. Does that count?
The Garden State God, John Turteltaub.
He's not.
No, he has no connection.
He's from New York.
Very loose connection. All right.
His father, his
dad,
from Teaneck.
Big Saul.
And if you miss the Teaneck exit, you're going on the bridge to New York.
Yeah,
you better be careful on the turnpike.
You're gonna pony up.
There have been quite a few times where I've been like, oh my god, because I have to get off at that exit to go to Jackie's old house. Yeah. I was like, and I make it, but scary.
All right, you ready for some taglines?
They're good at right.
There's like a billion of them. I took 3. The first one, all right. The most feared predator in history is no longer history.
That one's kind of dumb.
If you see her coming, it's all you'll have time to say. The Meg.
I don't like that one either. Wait, these are bad.
And finally, pleased to eat you.
I like that one.
The Meg.
That's good. That's better.
And then there's the opening wide one that's on the poster.
Yeah.
Which is a great, like, opening wide, and it's a giant, like, shark maw open, and it's like August 12th or whatever it was.
That's cute.
Yeah, those are the 3 that I chose. There were like 10.
And those are the best?
That's the cream of the crop right there. All right, my notes. I mentioned the thing about ChatGPT. I said it's incredible how insanely easily they get down into the Mariana Trench. Like, no one's been down that far before ever. They do it like 5 times. They do it like 5 times, and it's supposed to be like modern day. It's not like it's like.
Is that like the Bermuda Triangle? Like no one goes there?
Well, look at what happened with the Titanic submersible. You can't go that far down. You know?
Who said?
Oh, I mean, clearly you can, and they do it 18 times in this movie.
That's what I'm saying.
And probably 18 more in
the sequel.
In Meg 2, the trench. Presumably there's a trench involved. Oh, I also said, suddenly, like, when they needed the harpoon to track the Meg, it was just hanging out by the surface.
They're like,
I should have done that.
It
It spent, like, billions of years in the Mariana Trench, or at least since it escaped, it fled down there from when it was roaming the seas in like the Pangea time, and now suddenly, freaking Jason Statham and the girl who played Sonya Blade in the 2018 or whatever Mortal Kombat movie, 2021 Mortal Kombat movie, who was played his ex-wife, is down there, and now the megalodon's just going up to the surface for some reason.
That was a weird like subplot too. It didn't.
It wasn't what it was in the book.
It was strange.
I said, unlike Jaws, this movie is only fun when the shark is on screen.
So true.
And finally, honestly, the most emotionally touched I got was when the first Meg died, and then when the second Meg died.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, they looked very sad when they like sort of floated down.
I do feel bad. Like, what are they?
Why were they trying to kill the Meg in this movie? I got when it attacked the beach.
Okay, but they probably wouldn't have attacked the beach
If they didn't push it that way.
Exactly. Leave them alone.
Just leave them in the
They've
trench.
been in the Mariana Trench for eons.
They were bothering nobody until these people started going down.
Yeah, they're just like,
and everyone
making
just
trouble.
But everyone just took it for granted, like we have to kill the Meg, like before anything even happened. whatever
Why don't we just like hang out?
All right, I've got my top 5 trivia, and I think that's it. I think I'm done after that, because
Like, imagine like being on a boat and like being in the water and being like, oh, you know what, this isn't good enough, I need to travel as far down as possible and kill sharks. Like, no.
Okay, top 5 trivia. 1, how and why there are megalodons believed to have been a shallow water predator in a deep sea trench is never explained in the film, of course. While the novels go in depth with their evolution into an abyssal species, they migrated to escape the ice ages, over millennia gaining a slower metabolism, so they had to eat less, and losing skin pigmentation in the process so that they didn't have to, like, because there was less light. In the book, the megalodons are pure white, almost luminescent, from living in an environment with almost no light. This coloring proved too difficult to render in CGI while still looking realistic.
Oh yeah, we'll just make sure.
So the megalodons were given the same coloring as great white sharks, gray backs with pale bellies, even though this coloration would only make sense in an environment with light.
I feel like how flamingos are white until they eat shrimp.
Sure.
Okay, here's my thing, Tom. I'm like really embarrassed to admit this. I thought the Meg just meant mega shark.
Okay. They said that a bunch of times. That it was
They say megalodon?
Yeah.
Oh. I was like, it's a mega shark, mate.
Yeah, the surfers are like, oh, it's a mega shark, mate. So Winston Chow plays Li Bingbing's father.
Yes.
He's only 13 years older than her. So in the beginning of the movie, you were like, I thought they were married. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have been too far off if they were.
Okay.
They're like sort of in between.
Yeah.
You know? Number 3.
But also, this very clearly means I wasn't paying very close attention in this movie.
Or that the writing wasn't good enough to get that across right away.
No. I thought it was mega shark, Tom.
Yeah, true. Okay. Number 3. Few sharks are known to inhabit these abyssal regions, such as sites down to 2.5 miles below sea level or more. What moves within oceanic trenches is a true mystery no one knows. Aside from the scarcity of food, temperatures there could be another limitation to deep-sea living. There are sharks that inhabit deep parts of the ocean. Among them are goblin sharks and Greenland sharks.
Goblin?
Which tend to have low metabolic rates.
Goblin mode?
Goblin mode. That means they move slowly, much more slowly than the energetic predators of the movie. Although sea megalodon, which was the technical name for the megalodon in real life, cruised seas across the globe, it tended to prefer warm, shallower waters. It even used coastal regions for nursing grounds.
I kind of love the idea of like the sharks being so slow.
And all, yeah, apparently that's what it's like. Well, there's so much pressure too down that far. It probably is like hard to navigate.
Yeah.
Number 4, the megalodon is relatively docile while swimming near the beach full of people, seeming more curious than everything. Then everyone sees it and panics. That many creatures making movements like prey in distress promptly makes it to go causes it to go completely berserk and enter a feeding frenzy as a real shark would. It's noticeably more aggressive and erratic during the following final confrontation than it has been for the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So at least they got that kind of right.
Yeah.
And number 5, in real life, Jason Statham is an expert swimmer. In the 1990 Commonwealth Games, he represented England in diving. Footage of him competing is like on YouTube. And most of the shots of him in the water were real, but some of the more hazardous stuff was a stunt double. But it's cool that he did most of it.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's trivia. And there's no Roger Ebert review, obviously, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's sad.
And there's not really any casting. The only casting thing was not really casting, but the Eli Roth stuff. So does the Meg make baby's first watch list?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Of course it does. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what you're getting into when you start this podcast if you've listened to more than 4 episodes. Every movie makes it, even the Meg. I said the thing about the Meg. Okay, well, you have takeaways?
Yeah, my takeaways are
Leave the sharks alone.
don't start none, won't be none.
Talk, get hit.
Like, just chill out. You're like really rich and hanging out. Like, why do you need to bother the sharks? Now they're gonna go attack the beach.
Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you, Rainn Wilson.
Congratulations. Now they're gonna attack the beach.
Thank you, Jason Statham. Thank you,
Like,
Rainn Wilson.
Can you blame them? Yeah, you shouldn't attack the beach. But
It doesn't know any better.
Leave them alone.
Leave him alone.
That's mine.
My takeaway is I forget.
Wow, you're me now.
Oh, no. It was if you want to write something, if you want to write a movie, so many people write bad movies. Just write the movie.
Wow, that's to yourself.
It's to myself, but it's also to anybody, you know?
Beautiful.
And it's not necessarily a movie, a book. So many bad books have been written. Just write a book. You're not going to be the worst book ever written unless you are, and then you're amazing. You know?
Yeah,
That's iconic, too.
it is iconic.
Tommy Wiseau.
Wait, is the Meg iconic?
No, the Meg is boring. That's the problem. But yeah, that's my takeaway. So that's the Meg.
Yep.
And next week, we are going to cover 1957's 12 Angry Men.
I've never seen it.
I have seen it. It's amazing.
People love it.
I haven't seen it since high school.
Is it like boring?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty. I mean, it's talky, but it's
Black
nothing.
and white.
Nothing more boring. I think so. Nothing more boring than what we would have watched before in the past.
Henry Fonda.
Henry Fonda. Sidney Lumet directed.
It's not Lou May.
I'm pretty sure it's Lumet. I'm gonna double check on that. I'm like 80% sure it's Lumet.
I've been wrong so many times today. Lou Met.
Lumet. It's Lumet. He's American. He's not French.
Well, you never know.
No, I know. But it's Lumet because I thought it was Lumet, and then I looked it up one day and it was
Lou
Lumet.
met. Lou met you and talked your ear off.
Yeah,
Uncle Lou.
exactly. He is obviously an extremely famous director. Network.
We saw that.
Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh, it's one of my faves.
Yeah, he's the 4-time Best Director nominee. So,
Dang. Did he ever win?
mm,
We'll find out next week, won't we?
Yeah, we will,
Hey.
exactly. Yes, tune in next week. Yeah, so we're gonna do 12 Angry Men. It's courtroom drama. It's like the courtroom drama.
You've probably seen it in high school.
You've
I
probably
feel like
seen
a
it
lot
in
of
high
people
school.
did.
It's an absolute classic. So
Never
tune
watched
in.
it. I'm excited.
Tune in next week for 12 Angry Men, and follow us and stuff like always. Like I
Have
always
fun.
say. Yeah. So that was the Meg. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week for 12 Angry Men.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.